Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to my whoop whoop 90 wonderful subscribers. We're at the Kraken's Lair Comics. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've got some interesting comics to show you. And this guy agrees. He says, yes, Dan the Kraken Man has some interesting comics to show you. So stay tuned, everybody. Wow. That was always very wrenching for me to all of a sudden see my face on video. Hi, everybody. I'm Daniel, the Kraken Man. Thank you for joining the Kraken's Lair Comics. Now, the primary focus of this video is a new batch of comics that I'm sending off to P.G.X. to have professionally graded. I have done multiple videos talking about sending books off to P.G.X., why I choose to use them. I don't want to be redundant. If you hate P.G.X., you know, watch my videos. Maybe you'll learn something. If you don't see the value in having your books entombed, slabbed, you know, I mean, that's fine. You know, do what's best for you and your collection. I have made videos for the reasons that I do have some of my books graded. Now, what I was thinking about, I gave a lot of reasons why. Preservation. You know, old books, and I don't want them to sustain any more damage. I want to pass the baton down to other collectors. So 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, that they're in the same condition that I now have them at, and they're not sustaining additional damage. You know, reading it and like, whoops. You know, there's a 2-inch spine split now. Yeah, set it down on this water stain from where my coffee cup was, and now there's a water stain in the back. So, you know, preservation, that was important to me. Knowledge is huge. I just watched a video from Chris on the We Love Comics channel where he had Superman number 2, numero dos, and I guess a seller wasn't sure if it was like a facsimile cover, who he bought it from, and Chris sent this into P.G.X. and they verified that this is an actual factual original Superman number 2 cover that has some restoration. You know, some color gloss, some edge trim. And as he was doing live unboxing it, and you can watch this live, there was no trickery, no editing, where he's reading the grader's notes, which is P.G.X. is the only company that will actually provide grader's notes on the back of the comic book label. This was at Chris's urging. It's $5. You know, so usually it's, you know, like multiple spine ticks across the spine, and, you know, some dirty soiling on the back cover, loose staple or whatever. But where there was this information about the cover, it was glossed and color touched and trimmed. This made no sense for a facsimile cover, because a facsimile cover, that's the point. It looks great. It's brand new. It's modern day tech, and you take a coverless comic book and go, wow, look, now it's got this cover. And as he was discovering this, I mean, it was amazing just to see that, like, something that he had taken a gamble on, not much of a gamble for, it was like 380 some bucks, for a comic book that maybe a lot of people shied away from. Facsimile cover. Glue. Talking to you, Chance. Reinforced spine. That how many people just avoided this auction? Bah, I would never have a book with blah, 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 blah. And Chris sent this in to get graded, and the cover turned out to be original, and even it did get a restored label, of course. But even with the restored label, it came back a 4.0. That's worth thousands of dollars. Thousands. His $389 investment, he's has a arrangement with P.G.X. to where he can send in 4 books a month, pressed, dry clean, graded, free of charge. He hasn't signed any contracts with them, so he doesn't have to say like glowing nice things about them. It's just with the number of his subscribers, the word of mouth. P.G.X. and the owner of P.G.X., Daniel Patterson, was like, yeah, you can send in 4 books a month. We'll grade them. We'll do all the stuff. No cost to you. So he doesn't even have to factor in that additional cost for those books, which is great for him because he's doing great things for the comic book community. I don't begrudge him that deal that he has set up, frog in my throat. He also has worked out a deal for his subscribers where if you send in 10 books, use the code We Love Comics, you get a free press, free dry clean, and I've actually utilized that. They actually allowed me to do it twice because I didn't realize it was only like a one-time deal, but they were kind enough to go, okay, we'll do it again, but it was really meant as like a one-time deal, and that's great. So, this video is, my new batch of comics I'm sending into P.G.X. to get graded, but I also thought this would be a great opportunity. Like, I've explained why I have books graded. I want to explain when to have books graded. Because sometimes the cost of having a book graded just doesn't make sense. So, we're going to jump into this. I'm going to get off my ugly mug and show you guys some comic books. Okay. All right. This is a book I want to send in to have graded. It is Fantastic Four number 23. It's a very early Doctor Doom appearance. I'm not going to rack my brain. I know Doctor Doom is coming because we know the Fantastic Four is coming to the MCU. So I can't afford his first appearance, Fantastic Four number 5, currently. So I bought, like, the second appearance, the third appearance, the fourth appearance, the fifth appearance. So this one falls somewhere along those lines of a very early Doctor Doom appearance. I would call this a 4, maybe a 4.5. I paid very little for it because no one was like looking for, like, not the first appearance of Doctor Doom, but the fourth appearance or the fifth appearance. And I'm like, as the first appearance of Doctor Doom becomes so ghastly expensive, people are going to go to the next one. Fantastic Four number 6. Fantastic Four number 10. And so on. I had to sort of lower the light so the glare just wasn't atrocious. There is a color breaking crease that goes along there, but the edges look nice. Staples are tight. Yeah, there's a ding. There's some damage, some stuff, some stuff up here. But this is a book I really want to have graded now because I have earlier Doctor Doom appearances. So when Doctor Doom hits, this might be something I can sell and utilize that money to do other things with. I am I'm getting all these graded. Crime Suspense Stories, number 16. I've shown this book. There is strangely some tape that somebody put on there, I guess is a preventative measure to keep the spine intact. It is now discolored a little bit, but all the staples are tight. The edges are so clean. I was actually, worried like maybe is it trimmed, but I've, pulled out the ruler. It does not appear to be. The very cool thing about this book, and I'm not going to pull it out, it's actually signed by Al Williamson. It's on an interior page. It looks legit. And back to one of the reasons I use P.G.X, they actually do verified signatures. If I sent this into CGC, they would see that name on page 12, 13 of the book and consider that as damage. P.G.X will actually verify the signature, which will make this much more valuable to my collection. You're going off to be graded, buddy. I sold this book to help fund building a deck. I am working on my early Tales of Suspense Iron Man collection. I don't have number 39. I don't have number 50. I mean, there's a couple I'm missing, but I immediately had seller's remorse. And I was like, no. I had a copy of this that I had paid to have graded. It came back a 4.0. I think this is all day a 4.0, maybe a little bit higher. I'm excited to see how that turns out. Following that same thing, I had sold this book. Paid to have it graded, came back a 4. I think this is every bit as nice as a 4. It's no lower. And this illustrates, once again, getting books graded, where it's like there's no guesswork. I got paid more by having this graded than just going, hey, man, this looks really nice. In my opinion, it's a this, it's a that. But if somebody's shelling out hundreds of dollars on a comic book, they feel a lot more, confident if there's actually a professional grade on it. So that one's going in. This one is definitely going in. This white background, edges are just very clean. No color breaking creases. The staples look tight. I've looked at the back of these comics. I think this might come back a 6. And considering the age of this comic book, that's awesome. I really just want to see it in a slab because, I love everything about this. I love monsters. I love, what is not to like about that? That is definitely going in. The last one that I have selected is the Golden Record reprint, Journey into Mystery 83. A number of years ago, when I bought this, I was looking at okay, first print Spider-Man #1, Fantastic Four #1, Journey and Mystery 83. The comic books that the Golden Record reprints covered were getting stupid, tens of thousands of dollars. And I was like, well, once again, like, when people can't afford that, I mean, these came out just a couple years later. I mean, and you can tell there is no price. I mean, they're not trying to pull a fast one on anybody, but I was like, well, dude, if I can't ever own an original Journey of Mystery 83, like, this is really, really close. The biggest damage on this is that. But I really think getting this encapsulated is going to help me make a lot of money on it. I think I spent $89 on it. It really wasn't a lot at the time. Now, we've discussed why I get comic books graded, but I referenced, like, when. So I'm going to show you a couple of different illustrations. These are all significant books, but they're very low grade. Spider-Man #11, I don't have to point out all the damage. It is a very low grade. So, as a cost-benefit analysis, I have to ask myself, like, I mean, there's really no benefit even to, like, pressing and dry cleaning this. It would just be purely about preservation. So, spend $25, have it encapsulated. This thing's going to come back like, a 1.5, a 1.8, 2 if the grading gods are smiling on me. And it will preserve it for other collectors. But at this juncture, I have to ask myself, it's kept safe in my collection. So is spending the extra $25 me just throwing money away as opposed to just selling it raw? Because my point, say I sold this for $300, but I spent $25 to have it encapsulated and it still sells for $300. I have lost $25 profit. So does that make sense? First appearance of Darkseid. Now, this is better than that one, and I do think eventually I'll have this graded. But if you look up the value of this book, and I paid very little for it, so that helps me. This one I would probably pay to have pressed and dry cleaned and then graded, and now that's $50. So if you look up the value of this book and what condition I put it at as a non-professional grader, I have to ask myself the question, like, is it worth me spending that $50 to get that grade, or just sell it raw and let somebody else spend that money to have it graded? First appearance of Deadman. Same thing. There's some issues. There's some color breaking creases. This is probably a 3.5. It seems off-centered. So a pressing might help this to get that centered, but like, it's not going to help that crease, that crease, that crease, that crease, that crease, that crease. There's only so much that can do. So again, I have to ask myself the question, me spending the $50, pressed, dry cleaned, graded, is it really going to garner me that much more profit? Or should I just wait and see if, like, all of a sudden, like, Dead Man's and something and this hits? That might be the time. I love monsters. I got this for $20. So this is sort of on the fence. I didn't look it up prior to making the video. They wanted 25. I got this at MegaCon in Florida like 6 years ago. But I saw that was, out of the cover, color like creases or whatever, crease right there. But like for $20, I was like, yeah, dude, it's a win. But if I sold this as is, a raw copy, without absorbing the $50 cost of, once again, I don't know how much pressing and dry cleaning would help this. And P.G.X will actually, like, if you ask for that service and they're like, dude, there is absolutely no benefit to you pressing or dry cleaning this, whether because like we can't do anything good with it, or if it's like a modern book, it's like it doesn't need to be pressed or dry cleaned, they'll just like refund you that service, going, you don't need to spend your money doing that. And that's really cool. But like, yeah, so I for preservation, I want to get this graded. Not so much for the grade, but for it being protected. So I'm on the fence on this one, Now I'm going to show you a different scenario. This is not, where the conditions is not so good that, like, spending the money, it doesn't make sense. This goes into the value of the actual book. This is very nice. This, would grade a 6. For what I spent on it, I could absorb the cost of that, dry cleaning, graded and stuff. But being that I'm spending that extra $50, it's not going to put me that much ahead. So just for an example, say I could sell this raw for $200. Even getting a grade on it, and I spend the extra $50, if it sells for $250, I'm no better off than just selling it raw. Another example. This is really nice. This is a 6.5, but if I look at the numbers on it, like I said, I have an equal chance of selling this raw and making more money than investing another $50 into it. Now, newer books, same thing's true. This is super nice. Actually saved some money off that. Got it for $40. I mean, this is a 9.2 all day long. But the value of this book is, like, I looked it up earlier, so forgive me. Like, I'll call it, if this came back a 9.4, it's $180. I'm $40 in. If I add $50 onto this and it comes back a 9.4, I'm double my investment on it. Versus, as nice as it is, even without a grade, if I took multiple pictures of this and listed it as is, that other $50 is still in my pocket. Now, when to have your comic books graded. Some announcement about Spider-Woman. This is her first appearance. You know, it's in my collection. It's kept safe. And then I might go, well, yeah, if in a 9.2, a 9.4, this jumps up to like a $500 book, sure. I'll spend the $50 to get that grade of the 9.4, the 9.6, so I can command the highest value or sales value for this comic book. First appearance of John Constantine. This thing is gorgeous. This could be a 9.4, 9.6. For what this is selling for right now, it doesn't need preservation because it's so awesome. I've got it in this thick slab. It's kept safe in my collection. It just doesn't make sense to spend that money to get a grade on it for, like, Constantine's not happening right now. Ha! She-Hulk 1. Years ago, at the urging of Chris at the We Love Comics channel, I spent $50 on this. And I was like, dude, did I just F up? Nobody gives about She-Hulk. Like, dude, this thing is very, very, very nice. This is a sticker on the cover. It's not on the comic book. You know, the show was coming out and everybody's spec'd on She-Hulk, and this thing like drove up. I probably should have sold it then. Had I spent the money prior to have it graded and be like, yes, you know, this is a 9.2 and a 9.4, and I could have capitalized on that hype, but being that the show was not well received, this book has plummeted. So even though it is a very, very nice condition, I could maybe sell it for $100 and $120. So there is no reason for me, in my opinion, to have it graded and spend an additional $50 to have it graded, because then I'm breaking even. Versus for the $50 I spent, it is nice. If I took a bunch of pictures of it and I got 100, I got 120. Now I made $70. So, like I said, the point of this video is not just, you know, the books I'm sending off the P.G.X, which always just gets so many more hits, but it's knowing when to get your books graded. If it's an old book and you're worried about preserving the condition, yes, you know, get it graded, man. But if you're looking at the money that you're laying out to have it graded, you really got to look at, like, how much of a benefit is this to you? Are you going to make that much more money if you sell it with a grade? And, you know, I'm not a professional grader, and I have been shocked sometimes where, oh, I thought it was a 4.0 and it came back a 6.5. And sometimes, like, that money is a huge, huge leap of profit. But sometimes, you know, I don't want to say it's a gamble, but really look at your books. Look at what their current value is, factor in that additional price, and ask yourself, like, by spending that money, if it comes back at even your highest hopes grade, is it going to make you that much more significant profit, or just sell it raw? Or sit on it for a little bit and see what happens. Well, I'm just past the 30-minute mark. Everyone, enjoy comics. Enjoy comic book collecting. Thank you for watching the Kraken's Lair Comics. Thank you, my 90 subscribers, man. One day I'll push past 100. I'm confident. I hope you like seeing the comic books I showed. I will do a video when these books come back from P.G.X. and everyone seems to love those videos. So stay tuned for that. Everyone, have a good evening.